episode of Pickles and
Pasta with
with
Steph.
Steph and Jay. I did that purposely just to kind of mess
Yeah,
up our system. So, but it's cute. That's what we do. You got to throw in curveballs every once in a while. This is actually episode 13. So, like, just wow! Like, I can't believe we're on episode 13. like, I remember
we
when
counted.
we were talking about it. We were like, well, maybe we'll get 2 or 3. We'll see. We'll see what it goes. And I heard your aunt liked the last episode.
Yeah, she sent me a message saying that it was really helpful
That's
to
awesome.
her as an entrepreneur.
That's great.
She liked our tips.
Cool. All right.
Yeah,
So
that's what we're here for.
that's what we're here for. We're just tipsy. Uh, no, we're not. We're totally stone cold sober.
You're
Don't
definitely
drink.
not tips.
Don't drink, boys and girls. Um, yeah. So we're starting a little bit of a change of season, a little bit, which is fun. I like it. I like change of seasons. I think it's exciting.
Me too.
We're not talking about weather, but I'm just talking about the concept of seasons. I always find that people, I know we're going to get shit for this. I think that people that live in wherever you are in the world, in places where you actually have 4 seasons, which I know seasons have changed a lot, blah blah blah. I'm not going to get into that, but where there's actually a change, like a real change, not like going from 80 to 70,
Mhm.
but like a real change. I think I've
Right.
always said I think it's healthy physically for the body, and I think it's healthy for the mind. I think,
Yeah.
right? Don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I get to put on a nice jacket tonight.
Well, there's the fashion part too, I think, which is
Yeah.
helpful too. But I just think it gets you, you kind of have to think about things differently. And I think that's just a healthy thing. I think to be in the same all the time, I don't know, it's just not, I don't know, I just don't think it's as great. So, whatever. So, I'm hoping whoever you are, wherever you are, you're enjoying change of season, whichever season it's changing to, wherever you are. I hope. I hope it's a great one. We don't have a Puxatani for the winter, huh? I think we should think
No.
about that.
Yeah.
There should be like a mascot that leads us in to tell us about winter. Like we have the Puxatani Phil thing for the spring, and so right, but
Mhm.
I think it would be good to
Just for
have one.
spring.
Sorry,
Yeah.
just what?
It's just for spring. It's just telling you when winter's over.
I think we should come up with something for the other one. I'll work on that. Maybe like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll think.
Since you like talking about the weather so much, maybe you can come
I
up with
think that'll
something.
be my calling. I'll come up with I'll be the mascot boy. Whenever there's somebody needs a mascot, they'll call me, and I'll think of the best mascot for whatever the topic is.
There
Um,
you go.
okay, there definitely, I think there's like more and more events happening too as the season's changing. I mean, we have an election coming in New York, which is a whole other topic, which I'm not going to get into either now, although I probably will at some point. But I think it gets into this time of year where there start to be like more and more events, like after
Yeah.
school's over, like there's the summer party stuff, but now it starts like I'm noticing like every day, like not that I get invited to every single thing in New York or in the world or whatever, but I mean, I know a decent amount of people I get invited to. Like you get invited to a ton of stuff. Like we get invited to stuff, or we hear about stuff. The stuff that like we don't necessarily get officially invited to, but somebody we know says, "Hey, we're doing this, and check it out," or whatever. So I find there's like a lot. Like, and it gets tricky because you want to like support people, but like you can't go to everything,
Yeah.
and but you want to be supportive, and it's tricky. Like a friend of mine had an event this week that's I really would love to go there support him. So I supported him by sharing information about it. Like I kept posting about it. I kept sharing his
Mhm.
posts. I told different people I know about it. I don't know if anybody went because of me, but at least I did something to support it. So I still feel a little bad that I didn't go, and he's been very sweet about it. I mean, I don't know if he's pissed at me and he's just being nice, but I think it's tricky sometimes, like when there's so many different things, and I don't know, especially when because it kind of ties in with us, right? Like if we had nothing going on, like if we just had like our regular day to day lives, and when there's nothing, and we weren't aspiring to do stuff, then it kind of wouldn't make a difference. But like we're
Yeah.
constantly thinking about, oh, that's a good event I can learn. Oh, that's a
Yeah.
topic I really want to know about, or oh, there's going to be people there that would be really good for me to meet because whatever. It's interesting, like how to navigate that. Like, right? Don't you feel the same? Like, It's tricky.
Well, yeah, because I'm only in New York City a couple of weeks out of every month. So I kind of have developed a system when I'm here. I'm trying to do as many things that are available in New York that I can't do when I'm painting in Pennsylvania.
Right.
So, I'm going to a lot of events. Like tonight, I'm going to hustle down to an art opening
Yeah.
right after this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, there's some event that somebody invited me to that I'm going to try. I think I'm going to go, but I'm not even 100% sure if I'm going to go. But, and I like to go with you to as many events that we can go to together. But it's tricky
Hmm.
sometimes. Like sometimes there's something that's like really important, like that would be helpful, not just for me, but for us. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, well, somebody has to go, and I'm probably the appropriate person. Like if it's a tech thing or it's probably more appropriate that I go. But then there's an art
Definitely.
thing, and sorry, you do great
I
at the
said
tech.
definitely.
No, you do great at the
I
tech thing.
know.
You do great
No,
at.
I hear you. I'm getting better, but it's not my thing.
No,
You
it's not.
know.
It's not your automatic thing, but it's not like. I mean, it is my thing, I guess, but still. But then there's an art thing. It's like, okay, well, if we have to, I think what's kind of amazing, or not amazing, but really one of the many beautiful things about us, like the way we operate together as partners in everything, is that we're very cool about it. Like we're not like if there's something that like I have to go to, and I'm like, it's really important. You would give up
Mhm.
going to something to be there with me because it's important, really important. And the same thing for
Sure.
you. No matter what the event was on my side, I'd be like, it's not going to happen. I'll go another time or whatever. But if I have to be there, but we're also cool enough to be like, okay, we don't have to. Like, we don't have, we trust each other, we love
Hmm.
each other, we support each other. Like, that's the best way I can support you is to give you the comfort to be able to go and not have to stress if it's okay.
Yeah. Of
Like we
course.
had that right last night. Like we had that, right? You were invited to
Yeah.
something and
Hmm.
you were like, should I go? And I was like, of course you should go. Like, and then were like, you felt like you didn't want to ask the person who invited you, who's an old friend, if you could bring me. And I said, it's cool. And then he ended up inviting me, he saying, hey, I think it would
Yeah.
be fun for
That
Jay
was,
to go, which is really
yeah, that was
sweet.
very cool.
Yeah. But
That
like
was
I
very
was
cool.
prepared before that to be like, yeah, you're gonna go. I'll be here and I'll see you after. I mean, I'll cry a little bit while you're gone, but I'll be okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's cool. I think not every couple has that, and I think that's one of the many 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 things we have. I think it's nice.
Yeah. I think it is.
I
We
think
have a
it's
great mutual respect for
yeah
each other.
yeah. Okay, well, I'm gonna start us off with our topics of the week because that's kind of what I do. So our first topic that we came up with is comfort is the enemy of growth. That's kind of our headline. Um, and I think that applies to business. I think it applies to relationships. Yeah, I'm curious. Kind of, I know we've
I think
talked
it
about
applies to everything, actually. When you really think about it, if you're too comfortable, you have no motivation sometimes. I mean, not always. Some people who have a lot of things going for them are still striving. But a lot of times, I think when things are, status quo, there's no real problem, I think you kind of rest on your laurels a little bit. I think when you are seeing that something isn't working and you realize that you have to really take a look at your systems, whether it's business related, whether it's health related, or relationship, or as a parent. I think there's so many areas that this applies to. So when you need to redo a system, I know for me, when I feel like up against a wall, that is very motivating for me.
it.
I don't know what it is. Like my I don't know if it's my survival instinct, but like I have been on fire these past 2 weeks. I am like so engaged in all the ways that I'm working, and it's like a dynamic energy that I'm creating like strategic plans, like on multiple levels. Like it's kind of insane. And, even I'm going to relate this back to the event we went to on Monday night. We went to see the hostage from October 7th, Eli. What's his last name again? It's
Sharabi, Sharabi, Ellie.
Sharabi.
It's Ellie Sharabi.
Ellie Shrabi. And we went to see him speak at the Temple Emmanuel on the Upper East Side, which that was amazing. I had never been to a temple like that. But anyway, he was talking about his experience being a hostage, and he wrote this book about it. And certain things that he talked about as soon as he was taken captive, how his Arabic came back to him. Like it just came back. And that's survival instinct. And all these other survival instincts that kicked in while he was held hostage, it reminded, I mean, obviously, the things that I'm going through aren't even remotely close to that, but it's a similar comparison. Like I when I feel that some way of life for me is being threatened in any sense, I have this survival mode that kicks in, and I like rework all my systems. So I think it's a healthy thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so just while on that topic and we get off, I mean, the name of the book is called Hostage, and I can't recommend it enough. And I know a few people we were invited through somebody I know who I think is working with him. We didn't get to meet him, but I know friends that know him, like actually know him or have met him, and everyone has said about he's just this incredible, incredible human, filled with peace and love in his heart. And what he went through is just incomprehensible. But I strongly recommend, if you can see an interview with him or talk to me. He was on, been on a few of the talk shows and stuff like that. He's obviously promoting the book, but I really strongly recommend it. And just also to finish that up, I haven't ever been to Temple Emmanuel. Okay, so I was raised Orthodox, and Temple Emmanuel is Reform, and it is it's a beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. It's not anything I was ever used to growing up, it's just not my thing. But it was beautiful, and I thought they did a great job. I thought it was a great event. They did a really good job at the event. I thought everybody felt safe, and it was just very heartwarming. It was a lovely, lovely.
Yeah, it was amazing. I think I heard someone say just quickly about the Temple Emmanuel. It's like the St. Patrick's
Yeah,
of
I would say so. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a very known place. Like, it's not like I didn't
yeah.
know of it, of course, but yeah, it was really lovely. It's hard to say that, right? Like, it's such an incredible topic, but yeah, it was heartwarming. It was definitely heartwarming. And it's interesting when I'm listening to you talk about. I'm like, on the one hand, your mom, so you have that mama bear thing, right? Like, there's every mother always says that, like, when God forbid something is like their mother instinct, the mama bear instinct kicks in, and they go into overdrive, like, to protect something when they feel threatened. Their kids feel threatened. It's a
Mhm.
natural instinct. Like, it's not something anybody can teach you. You just have that. And I think you're right. I think that aside from that part,
Yeah.
I think you're right that it's not the amount of money you have. It's not the amount of power you have or connections you have or anything like that. That's not it. You can be, I don't want to say poor, but you can be. You can be, let's say, not have a lot of things and be comfortable. And when you're comfortable in that, you don't grow. You just don't grow. Even though it would probably be in your best interest when you don't have a lot to try and do things to make your life a little better, whether it's for your family or for your own sake. It could be anything. It could be the shape that you're in, right? If you're in a comfortable shape and you can walk upstairs and you can do this, you're not going to probably push yourself to be in better shape. But when you're having a hard time climbing up the stairs, you're like, you know what, I got to get in shape. Maybe I want to lose a little weight, or maybe I want to do a little more exercise, or maybe I want to change my diet, like, because you're not comfortable. And when you take that into relationships, I think is like personal relationship. I think it's a little bit different. I mean, there's look, we're very comfortable with each other, but we're constantly growing. And even our relationship has grown tremendously, like, over time. Like, our connection gets deeper, there's the love gets deeper, the respect gets deeper. We're constantly growing. It's not that we're not comfortable where we are, but we're striving. Our mindset is always, as good as it is, we know tomorrow can be even better. So we don't just stay complacent about it. Like, we are like, whatever little thing we can do, we look for it. We're open to it. I listen when you say, "Hey, I heard about this thing." You listen when I say it. So there's that. I think certainly in business, when you get comfortable, it's over. It's really over. And I remember back in my tennis days, one of my clients was number two in the world at the time. The number one in the world was pretty dominant, and he worked really hard at number two. And he was like, Jay, I've got to work this hard just to stay at number two. It's like, forget about getting to number one, which at the time he had absolutely zero interest in, like zero.
Mhm.
He had no interest in being number one in the world. He didn't like what came with it. He didn't care really about the money. He didn't care about any of that stuff. He was an amazing tennis player, but he just didn't care. He didn't care. But he was like, I have to work this hard because there's 100 guys behind me that would love to be number two. And I'm good.
Right.
I don't want to. Then that 1 year where he's like, I'm going to go for it. And he became number one, which was amazing, which was an amazing experience. And I was really honored to be on that journey with him. He obviously did all the work, but still, it was just really, it was super exciting. And I told you, remember when I told you about the stretching, like he grew, like they
Oh,
stretched him.
okay. Okay.
They
Now I know who you're talking about.
he usually, most tennis players have a single coach. He hired a second coach because he had a certain style that he played, and his coach really wasn't an expert at the other style he wanted to learn to be able to get better. So he hired a second coach who kind of focused that, so they worked together. Then he had like a regular trainer, and he had a guy that specifically his whole focus was basically making him taller, stretching him. And he did get taller, like over the course of the year. And so his serve got a little bit better, and it really worked.
Yeah.
Like it was incredible to see. It's just really, it wasn't like noticeable to the naked eye, but he was taller.
Mhm.
It was really amazing. But I think when he was comfortable at two, he stayed at two. And that moment when he was all of a sudden be like, you know what, I think I'm going to go for it. He got better, and I think that's it's an important lesson. I know it definitely taught me a lot. I really learned from that. I thought it was a great experience to be around.
Yeah, I mean, I think basically, when you're comfortable, like you're not really doing much to grow. You're not doing much to get better. So if you're cool just staying the way you are, that's fine. But, if you want to improve, if you want to improve your life, your health, your relationship, you have to work at it.
Yeah.
And that's just like, even if you're like, just take, for example, like, a person's health. Like for me, for example, I'm moderately in shape. I'm
You're
not
in
super in
shape.
shape.
Stop, guys. Anybody that hasn't met her, stop.
Okay,
You're
that's
in great
just for
shape.
the sake of this
Okay.
conversation. I'm moderate. I'm in decent shape for my age. Let's
She's in
just go
great
with that.
shape. She's in great shape.
But if I were just comfortable and didn't realize that you actually have to do things just to maintain, so you have to work just to maintain. So if you're not going to work at something, it's going to decrease.
Yeah, I,
That's
that
really where it's at.
and that's kind of what I learned from that experience. And look, for me, I'm always looking to be a little better. I'm always looking to be a little faster. I'm looking a little stronger, a little whatever. I mean, not in everything. And I'm not in good shape. Like I would like to be in good shape, but for me, coming from what I was as an athlete, like I think I'm horrible. You tell me I'm not. Other people say that's ridiculous. You're whatever. My bar is very high, so of course it's going to be difficult to reach that, which I'll get to at some point when I put it on the level of importance that it should be. Then I will get there.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
I do it with other things, and I refuse to stay complacent. And the goal is obviously for things to be smooth. Like you want things to be smooth. I don't think the goal is to have extra stress in your life or extra complications in your life. But it's not like, oh, okay, I accomplished that. Okay, great. Like I look at it, and say, okay, that's great. But like, okay, let's do a little better. Let's see if we can, let's do it next time. Let's do that one a little better. Let's do that, whatever it is, a little bit faster, a little bit brighter, just a little bit, like little by little.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
that's healthy. I think that's how we learn. I think that's how we grow. And yeah,
Yeah, you know, baby steps.
yeah,
Just do a little bit more. Maybe it's an extra set.
yeah,
Just if we're talking about like health.
yeah,
Um, whatever it is that you're working on, like for example, also a couple years ago, I decided that I was actually going to try to do more with my art. That was a decision
Yeah,
a couple of years ago. And if I hadn't done that, yeah, maybe I would have gotten in a few more art shows, but I made a declaration, and that's kind of how I roll. I kind of say I'm going to do something, and then I put the time in and do it,
you do. You
and
definitely do.
it's interesting. I always say this. I mean, this has kind of been my MO. Now that I'm saying this out loud, I'm going back to college. I remember talking about this kind of stuff in college with my girlfriends in my dorm room, and I don't remember what it was about. It might have been about art, actually, funny enough. But, it's just the trying and putting yourself out there that is helping you grow, no matter how much that level is. Maybe it's a little bit, maybe it's a lot of effort, maybe it's an extreme effort,
Yeah,
but you're going to grow.
I agree. I think that makes sense. Yeah, and yeah, I think it's a little different probably for everybody, but I think yeah, I think that it's important to do that, and you know I think if we pay attention to it, we can all be a little bit better tomorrow than we are today. And
Yeah.
I think that's a positive thing. Okay, so I'm going to move on to our next topic, which is interesting question, I guess. Does second guessing help realize we are on the right course? Do you remember this? What we talked about this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Of course. Are you
Okay.
kidding? I mean,
Yeah. I
definitely.
think.
I think,
Yeah. Go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say, I feel like in different phases of our growth, we are looking back at the decisions that we've made and, analyzing them. Not so much. I mean, maybe it sounds like you're second guessing when you pose the question, should I have done this? Should I have gone to school here? Should I have moved there? Should I have taken that job? Should I have gone out on that date? Whatever it is, I think probably a lot of us do that. I think it's just more like analyzing, and maybe not everybody's a thinker in the way that I am. Like I kind of overthink things sometimes too
Really?
much. And I think it's just like analyzing our choices and in for the purpose of making, other decisions as we're growing. It's kind of like analyzing the path. Is this the right way to get to here? Or is there a way to circumvent this part? It's just kind of like navigating a path when there is no blueprint.
Well, that I think that's really that's the question. So the way I see that, right, is there's a tendency. A lot of people have a tendency to second guess themselves. Okay. The question, I guess, is does that help us realize we're on the right course, or does that make us go off course? So sometimes second guessing, you can have the initial guess, okay, and you're going to say, I'm going to go right, just for argument's sake. You second guess it, you're like, ooh, right, that's maybe not so good. It's crowded. I'm going to go left, and then you get into an accident. So second guessing took you off course, whereas single guessing could have maybe kept you on the right course. And that's, I think, what the question is. Like, I think sometimes people second guess and they realize, oh shit, that would have been a disaster. Thank goodness I second guessed that, and now I figured it out, and now I'm on the right course. Other times, you end up messing up. Like, you either don't take the opportunity you're supposed to take, or you end up going someplace that was just not really the right decision for you. But now it's done already. You can't undo it. And I think that's the tricky part of, like, what is going with your gut instinct and saying, I'm just going with it, I'm not going to second guess this, and what is the right time to second guess, to be like, I should double check, or I really make sure, or confirm, like, I'm doing it, just want to confirm it, okay, I'm still doing it. And I think that's where it gets tricky. Look, I think that sometimes something happens, right, where we did it, and then we go back after the fact and we're like, was that the right thing to do? So
Yeah.
I think there's that where we kind of go back and rethink for the future, which I think that's good. But I think the second guessing prior to the action, you have to kind of find your balance of when you're overthinking something, which is preventing you from doing the thing you're meant to do, or when you're checking yourself to make sure that you don't make a mistake.
Okay, so I don't think I do that.
I don't think you do either.
I I think that I make decisions and then do them. And sometimes I will definitely look back at situations and decisions and think, geez, I wonder if that was the right decision. But then when I really look at the whole string of events, in my mind, I think they were, because I think that each thing that I went through taught me a lesson that I needed to know to go through this next thing. And I think that's just a chain of
Huh?
experiences that lead us to to where we're destined to go. I look at it as destiny, and I know that you can second guess different things in your life. That look, I'm divorced. I've done many different things as a job. I mean, another person might second guess all those things, but to me, I'm like, my marriage gave me my daughters, who are so important to me. All the different, entities that I created in business, they all are part of who I am. All of these experiences are part of me, and I think that, especially now that I'm creating my next solo show in February 2026, I'm like looking back at my history, at least from 2007 till today, because that's what this art show is going to be about. And I'm seeing this richness of my life in my art. And I think that all of this was just, that's how it was meant to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true. But I think that so you are a bit unique in that way, in that because we've had this, like you'll say something and you're going to do it, and I was like, "Are you sure?" Or like, "Do you need?" And you'll be like, "I said I'm going to do it," and I'm like,
I do do
I'm like, I'm
that.
like, okay, calm yourself. But I'm just kind of double checking, right? I'm not trying to convince you to not do it. I'm just double checking. But you're very set that way. Like I made a decision. That's it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't need to talk about it. I'm doing it. I think that's great. It obviously doesn't always work out. That's life. But I think a lot of people they second guess and they go back and they go forth. They second guess and they third guess and then the first
Yeah,
guess is the
yeah,
right guess. Like so
yeah,
they're missing something internally. Like they're missing something that's giving them enough confidence, and they're like, no, I'm right. And that's a whole other topic of like why people feel that way and their surroundings and how there's a lot of people in people's lives that are very negative, so they make them feel. But I think that's an important thing to know. Look, if you're skydiving, right? You know, I don't know if it's second guessing, but it's like double checking is really important. Like before you're going to jump out of that plane,
second guessing would be helpful when you're skydiving. Double checking would be good.
right?
They're two different.
But if you're second guessing it at that point, you probably shouldn't jump. Like if you're
Yeah, you probably shouldn't jump. If you are doing that, I would agree with that.
right. So,
100%.
I think that that's kind of where I'm coming from with this. I think that like there's finding
Yeah.
that balance between second guessing, kind of
Yeah.
overdoing it. Like I think that's an important skill to learn. I think the sooner people can learn that within their journey, I think
Yeah,
it's helpful.
it's also funny because I spent 25 years as an interior designer. So, in that role, which the reason why that is so helpful, because so many people can't make decisions when it comes to spending, a decent amount of money on things in general, but especially things that are going to go in their home. And then once they make a mistake, then they're really upset and pissed about it. So as an interior designer, that was definitely one of my superpowers, and it still is. Like anytime any of my family members or close friends are doing a house, I help them. It's like it's so easy for me, and it's so fascinating how many people second guess every little decision that they have to make. And I understand. Yeah, so I don't do that. thank
You, I
God.
can
But
tell you, boys and girls, I can tell you, Steph don't do that.
I'm a
That
quick decision maker.
you make your decision. That's it. I agree with you. We've had that with friends of yours or family members that are working on designing something, and they call you and you talk it through, and then you're like, okay, they got it. Like, did you set up? It's like, yep, we're all good to go. And then like 3 days later, so I was thinking about that color on the knob, and like, are you sure it shouldn't be this? Like, I was thinking maybe like like what are you doing? Like, that's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. Like, I think, they were on the right course. Everything was good to go. And instead they just didn't have that confidence to do it. And I think it's an important thing. I don't know. I think it's an important thing to pay attention to, because again, I think it's important to think and make the right decisions, of course. But I think sometimes you can second guess it and just throw yourself way off.
Yeah.
You can ruin the whole amazing thing you were about to do by just doing that. So anyway, I just thought it was something worth kind of putting out there, because I think a lot of people deal with it. I think a lot of people have that, and I mean, you see it, I've seen it, and you're like, geez, like you were set to go.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the problem is like if you don't have the right information to make a proper decision, that's a different thing altogether. And sometimes that's the case. I think I have definitely come across that quite a lot, more in business where like you're not controlling all the variables. You can't control what's happening, in the world, which affects businesses.
Sure.
Basically we're in a recession right now. And so like
Oh, there we go.
even with have some fun today, like we have a great product, we have beautiful marketing, and right now across the board, this is not just our brand, and because I read all kinds of business publications, and the thing I read today was that customer acquisition cost 40% more right now than it was like
Yeah,
earlier this year.
yeah. Look,
Like
yeah,
that's a condition that, so you could make the right decisions, but you can't control that, so
yeah. We're definitely in a weird place, and yeah, but again, to the point, second guessing isn't going to help. Like, you have to still
no.
figure out, this is my decision, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to do this,
Yeah.
and if it gets to that point, it doesn't work, I could change later. But if I second guess it, I'm not going to make any decision. I'm not going to leave the house. So
Yeah.
I think that's the important thing to learn. Hopefully that's the important thing to learn. Okay, moving on along. Our next topic is an interesting one, I think, and we've both come across this in different ways. And the topic is support meant to be reciprocal? And
Blame yourself, Jay.
um, I think this is an interesting one. I think we we should support things, causes, people, friends, family, whatever, because we want to do it, like, because it feels like the right thing to do. Whatever the thing may be, a cause,
Mhm.
a friend has a business, whatever. You just should. Like, I think that's the right thing to do. I just think it's the right thing to do. Should it be reciprocal? Yeah, of course it should. Like, it absolutely should. Like, but it shouldn't be conditional. So
Right.
I think you should do things for people because, or businesses or causes or parties or whatever. And yes, it should be reciprocal. They should realize that, they should appreciate that, and then when the opportunity is there where you could use the support, they should support you. It just should happen that way. It doesn't happen that way, I think, more often than not. And I think that's unfortunate. I think that's a very unfortunate thing. And I think we're seeing that in our society. And I think some people are getting very upset about it. And I think it's hurting a lot of relationships. It's just hurting a lot of, it's causing a lot of emotional turmoil. Because then you start thinking, like, well, why am I supporting these things and people aren't supporting me back? And I
Yeah.
think it's a weird thing. I think it's a weird thing. And it's
I
worth talking
mean,
about.
being an entrepreneur, a solo entrepreneur, I've been in this role for really honestly since I graduated college. I've done, I've just one after the other, like a business that I'm doing it alone. And you really as a person who does that, you have so many experiences where you're doing all this hard work. You're putting your heart and soul into your work. You're putting it out into the world, and you know how hard it is. So my MO, how I navigate, just to, for example, like social media, whether it's LinkedIn or it's Facebook or it's Instagram or TikTok, I have friends that do the same kind of stuff. And I know how hard it is. So I'm always supporting other people's stuff because I would love for people to do the same back to me. So this is exactly, what you're talking about. But I think that maybe some people are out of touch with, the small business, and they don't have, like, they're not like touching it. Like, maybe they own a bigger business, but they have people working for them doing all that work, and so they don't really see who's liking the stuff, what orders are coming in, who's engaging with the brand or with the services. And sometimes I think they're just too out of the loop to really get that grassroots kind of support, that level of support. Or sometimes there are people who, there's a lot of people who don't have these kind of businesses, so they don't really understand how hard your friend is working to really pay her bills, and to support her family. From the outside, you think everything is easy peasy. But so I think it's just a level of understanding, that some people lack this understanding of what's really happening. What do you think?
Well, I think there's a lot of different layers to it. Like there's the business part, which I think it's a little tricky, right? Like if you're, let's say, on social media, right, and you support people, so you follow somebody and you want them to follow you back, or they follow you, so like that, it gets a little complicated, right? Because if you can't follow everybody back, like right, like that girl that I saw earlier today, and she has like over 500,000 followers. She can't follow all those people back, even if she wanted to. She technically can't. So, but she can support them by liking a post. She can support them if they have an initiative, if they whatever they have going on, she can support them in different ways. So she can show the support in different ways. I think as humans, we can give back. I think it's tricky when we expect it, and that's when I think it gets very complicated. And I don't find, I'm just going to say it, I don't find it's reciprocal. And this isn't a woe is me, or so please don't send me messages or flowers or anything like that. I do things that I do for people because I do them. I don't want anything in return. I don't ask for anything in return. Nothing. It's cool. If I do something for somebody, I do something. That's it. Would it be nice? Yeah. Is it nice when someone is reciprocal? Is it nice when someone makes a comment or says something or sends me a note? Of course it is. Of course it is. But that isn't why I do it. I think if people were more conscious of the people that are doing things for them,
Mm-hmm.
and they did more, whether it's directly or for other people in general, it makes the world better. I know that sounds very kumbaya-ish, whatever, but I do think so. It's not like when I do the things that I do,
There's nothing wrong with that, being kumbaya.
I guess, but look, if I do something for somebody, like I don't want to call anybody out, but if somebody, for example, is doing something and I am supportive of it, I buy tickets to it or whatever. Okay, they don't have to, let's say, buy something from me, but they could go do something for somebody else. So that's not reciprocal technically, but they're continuing like a positive chain, right? They're paying it forward. So I do look. I do think there are people. Let's say either they dealt with DEI or they dealt with some sort of hatred or they dealt with some sort of other issues that happened, and then they're like, well, where are the people that were there for when I was there for them? It sucks. I mean, it is a shitty feeling. It is a really shitty feeling, but that's not helping you thinking that way. because
Right.
you didn't do it with the expectation that they would do something back. You did it because that's what felt right to you. It's how you were raised. It's what you feel. It's because you care. And that's it. And you should do it again. You should do it again next time. If they're in trouble again, you should be there again. Not if someone's taking advantage of you. Like these are two different things, right? There's people, we've
Yeah. No,
all
I
had
hear you.
people in our lives that were just always look, I have people, you and I have talked about this. I've had people in my life that they only call me when they need something. They don't
Hmm.
call me for anything else. They don't check on me to see how I'm doing, and I don't want anybody doing that. It's again not it's not about. I'm just talking about the situation. And after a while, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to reach out. Let's see how this goes. And I don't
Hmm.
hear from them. I reach out,
Yeah.
say happy birthday. I reach out, say hey, have a good weekend, or hey, good. And then zero, 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 zero. And I'm like, let's see what
Yeah.
happens. And
Let them. I think who says that? Mel Robbins. Let them.
yeah, I mean, you know what? If they don't want to reach out, okay, it's great. No problem. Now I learn, and now I know, and it's okay. That gives me room to go be friendly with somebody
Help
else.
somebody else. Do
Yeah,
something nice for somebody else.
yeah,
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you, Jay.
yeah,
I mean, obviously, when I just easy example, going through social media, I have a lot of friends on social media. I'll go through. I like all their shit, because I just think it's good. It's good energy, unless it's something like I don't like, but that's not so common. It's just like this flow of support.
yeah,
Like it can flow to me, it'll flow out of me. It's this flow of being there as a human to exchange support and cheer you on. It's hard. It's
yeah,
hard to do things in life, and there are plenty of people who choose not to start a business. That's cool. There are plenty of people who are constantly starting businesses, like myself and you. And sometimes the people that, I would love to have their support, whether they're family members or friends or acquaintances, sometimes they say to me, well, that's on you if you wanted to do that. Like it's fascinating some of the responses you get when you do bring it up to people. But in general, I just keep on plugging along. I do think it should be reciprocal, but some people just don't want to do that.
yeah. I think, yeah. To a certain extent, that's kind of my point. Like, I think if people could just, you know, check themselves and think for a second that maybe if they did something and did something reciprocal, like just what a beautiful thing that would be. Like how
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
wonderful it would be that the person who liked your post, that you like their post. That's the stupidest little thing. Like it's the
It
stupidest
is.
little
It
nothing.
sounds like so stupid, but it's like
But it's
it's a
not.
good example of
But
what we're
it's
talking
just
about.
not. It's just not that stupid. And that's one simple example. If it's liking a post, if it's sending them a note because you heard something was happening in their life, or you saw something, just something that shows that you support them. The person that supported you, they show that you support them. I mean, that is just it. You can't imagine how much good you can do with doing that. You cannot
Yeah.
imagine. I mean, I've had so many people that have said to me, that I didn't think they noticed or whatever. And they would be like, I can't tell you how much it means to me that you sent me that note. I can't tell you. I remember that time that you did this thing back, whatever. And I'm like, awesome. Like, that's great. That's great. But I don't expect them to ever do it in return. But I'm not going to lie. Would it be nice? It would be nice. But
Yeah.
I don't think we should expect it. I think, and I don't mean that in a negative way, right? Like, because people
No,
say,
I hear
say
you.
like, well, I don't
I don't.
expect anything from
Yeah.
anybody, and it's like this negative thing. Like, I don't expect people to be good. Like, no, no, that's no. People can be good, and I do
There are
expect.
plenty of people who are so good and
Yes,
so helpful
yes,
and so supportive.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah. And it makes it all worth it. Like honestly, I'm going to keep doing all the stuff I do.
yeah,
If anyone in my family needs help, I'm going to be there,
100%. Yeah,
And, maybe at some point it'll come back.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think people, they support. I think also, I mean, maybe something that would maybe be healthy for all of us is to, well, one, we shouldn't expect it to be reciprocal. I think that's just one, don't expect it. And, people show their reciprocal support in their own way. So whatever that means to
Yeah,
them, it may not
true.
be what we would like, but it doesn't mean that it's not there. And I think if we can
Yeah.
think of it that way, and then maybe it doesn't hurt as much because it hurts, right? It can hurt if you're like, I really
Yeah,
wish
I
they
guess
would.
bottom line,
Yeah,
it makes us feel shitty.
yeah. So I think if we can maybe adjust our own mindset around it to be like, well, they didn't do it the way I would have liked them to do it, but they did what they did, and that's okay too. That's okay too. So
Yeah.
as long as people aren't mean, you know, that's okay too, right?
And honestly, that's not the reason why we do
No,
things.
100% no.
It's not for someone or a bunch of people
Oh
like
yeah,
I'm going to do this because I know all these people are going to support
for
me.
sure.
It's more like I have to do this. I feel this. With the have some fun today, I had to do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, my dad used to talk all the time about why are you not doing fashion? And I'd be like, Dad, I'm doing interiors. You can see how, this is going well. But he wanted me to do fashion and I had to do that.
Yeah, I
When
agree.
he passed away and all those people came, like that to me was like,
It's a son.
this is something I have to
Yeah,
do,
yeah, I agree.
you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it makes sense. That makes sense. Alrighty. You know what time it is. You know what time it is. It's
It is.
rapid fire time. Yay.
How about if I ask the questions first this time? You've gone first.
Whatever makes you happy, darling. I'll let you go first, but you like, no, you go first.
It's all good. Okay, first question. Would you rather fame or freedom?
Freedom.
Friendship deal breaker.
Lack of respect or like doing something like really disrespectful. That's big, right? Like that's a
Yeah.
big thing. So it could be anything like, stealing is disrespectful and embarrassing you in public is like, there's a lot of different things, but like true disrespect, like if a friend just doesn't have, just treats me in such a way that they just have no respect for me, so that's it. People making mistakes or whatever,
Yeah.
it's other shit, whatever, but like a clear disrespect.
Yeah.
Like
There's no point.
there's
They're
there's
not
no,
that's not
there's no
attractive.
turning back. There's no turning back from
Yeah.
that. I can't turn around.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, the last one. Advice you ignored but wish you didn't.
Ignored or ignore on a regular basis. Ignore.
Ad- Advice you I'm reading my own handwriting. So clearly my handwriting
So,
is not very
so I'm
good.
looking. I'm looking at the actual document.
Yeah, I'm not looking at that.
Advice you
So,
ignore but wish you didn't. So ignore, not past tense. Like regular advice.
okay,
You
well
want
what's
it to
your
be
answer?
past tense or you want it to be past or present?
I think it doesn't matter.
Okay. I would say like not getting myself in shape, which is the advice I give to myself. So I don't know if that counts. Yeah, I wish I would. I wish I would allocate my time, like you've said it, and I've said it to myself. Like break out that time and do those things that are good for you. My own health and mental, physical, whatever. And not that there's anything wrong with me. Well, I guess I
Not
guess
that
that.
there's anything wrong with
All
that.
right, all right, all right. That's up. No, you don't need to call in. No, no, don't do a poll. But yeah, that's something I would rather, and I will. I keep saying that I will, but yeah, I wish I would just take that a little bit more seriously.
Okay.
So I think I answered that reasonably well.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, you ready?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Okay. Well, you were born ready.
Because I really don't know how I'm going to answer that third one,
That's all
honestly.
right. Well, fame or freedom?
Freedom.
Do you not think fame brings freedom?
Well, when I think of that question, I think of people who are famous and that they can't, like, they lose their privacy and they're constantly scrutinized. And, just having a little bit of that in, just being a person that I feel just in my own little world, I feel a little scrutinized. So I can't imagine that being like a global kind of situation. I wouldn't like that.
Okay. Friendship deal breaker.
Similar to what you kind of articulated, you know, when a friend does something that is so disrespectful to our what I thought of as our friendship. Yeah, that's then you're not a friend.
Yeah.
It's very clear.
Yeah.
Very clear.
Yeah. Yeah. Advice you ignore but wish you didn't.
That's a hard one
I
for
can
me.
answer this one for you if you want, but this is your question.
Okay.
No,
I think I know what you're going to say. So go ahead, say
no, I'm not going to say it. It's your question. You got to answer it.
it. Okay. I think that, but I still like, I can't do it. Like
What?
you're always giving me advice about managing my time. And I just can't change how
You
the
can.
things
You
that I
can. You can. You can.
Is that why you put this in here? Because you really want me to change
No,
my schedule?
no, not at all. Not at all. That's didn't enter my mind until you just said that. Till I just asked you the question, it didn't enter my mind.
I mean, all I need is like another 24 hours. I need a normal day to be
You need
48
another
hours.
24 hours in a 24-hour day.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, then I'd be fine.
Well,
Because I need my leisure, like just the weird shit I do. I need that for my brain to see all the things that it needs to compute and to organize it up there so that when I go to paint or I go to write or I go to make my posts, that I have all the info.
so you
This
do
is very
so you understand this is being recorded, right? So we'll be able
Mhm.
to go back to this somewhere in the future, and at a certain point, you're going to do things differently than you do now because that's just nature.
Yeah, yeah.
And I, and we'll come back to this, but
Okay,
I have, I
sounds good.
have, I have unending level of confidence and faith in you, and I know that there isn't anything that you can't do, and I, I think, I think you're great the way you are,
Yeah,
and
you're
what
gonna
works.
make me cry in front of all these people.
Yes, but you are. You're great. You're great. The stuff you do, I say it to people all the time. Like it's tremendous. Like some of the stuff that you do, I'm like, makes no sense that she can do this. It's whatever. But and I think that's wonderful. And I just believe in you. So I know that that thing. If, for example, you said that, I think there's a way to do it. It just hasn't clicked for you. It's not that it's not possible. It just
Yeah,
hasn't.
clicked. It hasn't clicked for me to decide because I make these decisions quickly.
Yeah.
There's not a reason for me to do it differently in my head yet. I haven't come up with
Correct.
that. That it's
Correct. Correct.
rational for me.
Correct. I would agree that, that's the hindrance. That is the
Yeah.
block. There's no other actual block. Look, I remember
Yeah.
always saying, I remember this back when I had the tennis company, and either I think somebody got sick, and the answer was like, oh, it's the worst time for them to get sick. I was like, when is there a good time to get sick? Or it's like
Never.
the worst time for this person to take vacation. I was like, look, it's naturally I had that same feeling because you hear that shit, right? People say that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I
Right.
kind of stepped back from it for whatever reason. And I was like, well, that there is no best time for that. So if this is when it happened, okay, that's it. Like that happened.
Yeah.
And when you see that, you can see like people say, I have no time for that. The doctor thing is the most natural, right? That's the thing. This is as old as the medical profession, right? People say, I have no time to go to the doctor. When you're sick and you can't get out of bed and you're whatever, well, how much time do you have now, buddy? So if you would have gone to the doctor, maybe you wouldn't have gotten so sick. Maybe you bought, whatever. So there is a logic to that, and just everybody has to find their own way, and there's 24 hours a day for all of us. Like it's not different for anybody. This is not critical of you at all. It's a broad.
Oh,
This
I'm
is
not.
this
I'm
is
not.
Jay
Yeah.
giving advice.
No.
This is Jay giving advice to the universe, whether they listen or not. But yeah, I think we all have to kind of find it. Again, I'm as guilty. I'm guiltier than anybody. So do as I say, not as I do. Um, anyway, so well, this was lovely.
So nice chatting with you.
Thank you. It's very nice chatting with you too. We should do this again, maybe next week.
Maybe next week.
Okay, but I'm going to talk to you in
All right.
between.
I gotta go to an
And
art opening.
all right, boys and girls. Well, Steph has spoken. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us this week's episode of Pickles and Pasta with
Steph.
and Jay. Bye.
Ciao.